Church in West Seattle, southwest Seattle. Um, and I grew up during the school busing thing. My last day of high school, we had a race riot at South High School. Um, and saw the whole urban white flight thing. White families getting out of urban environments to go to the suburbs because the schools were better and there was, all this other stuff that was better. And really thought nothing of it, didn't think of it as something that was challenging or wrong or anything, it was just the way it was. And I live in a suburban Bellevue. But yet over the last several years, I've been realizing that there's this gap in evangelicalism, maybe a chasm. But my question is, are you seeing movement in the evangelical church to acknowledge and recognize our own injustice that we have caused? And are you seeing, that whole recognition thing that we have to do better, we have to make change and acknowledge the past?
Well, he pauses and I got my mic on. I would say yes, we're seeing movement, and it's polarizing movement. There's a group that is rallying to the far conservative side and naming, I mentioned critical race, naming things that they can shut down the conversation in, and we're seeing, I think, positive movement on folks that are really, really trying to unpack and dig into and understand. So yes, there's movement, but right now in our society, I would say it's polarizing.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not widespread, but we are seeing pockets where that's happening. I have a group that I meet with twice a month, and they're leaders of some of the largest churches in the region. And they are open. We're wrestling with what it really means for us to be family, and they're open to it. And they're wrestling with how do they deal with their congregations that are split, right? Because some of the congregations have people in them that are left and right, and unfortunately we have tended to be led more by politics than the gospel in the church. And so that's the biggest struggle for some of these pastors who say, well, we know what the gospel says. So our group is based in prayer because we realize unless the Lord builds a house, we labor in vain. It's also based on the fact that it's got to be gospel based, because some of what's happening in the culture today, they're having conversations, but they're not leading us closer together. They're pushing us further apart. I would say those are the wrong conversations. Conversations we had should bring us together. They're going to be hard. Some are going to take work, but they should bring us closer together. And the third thing is that they're built on mutually respectful relationships. We're getting beyond this, you're better than me and I'm better than you, and da da da. And part of that is confessing. And we're not about CRT, but I am about acknowledging that Harvey Drake committed some heinous things in my past. I'm gonna confess that, repent of that, so I move forward. I'm not relegating myself to my broken past. I'm not relegating you to a broken past. I just want us to be enlightened, because the more I know, the better I can be and the better I can do. And so we've ignored stuff to the point that we don't realize just how jacked up we've been all this time. And all I'm saying is let's just get it out, say it, and then let's move on. Right? Let's move on. So yes, I'm seeing a group of people who are doing that, but we still have this polarization is happening within in our churches. And that's because, again, I gotta repeat it, we're being led more by politics than the gospel. And when I allow my tradition and my history and my upbringing to be greater than the gospel, I'm in trouble. And so if we all bring who we've been, where we've been, under subjection to the gospel, that's better. It doesn't erase who I am. And that's what we're always afraid of. What are we going to lose? We're not going to lose anything. We're going to actually gain as we begin to live into what God purposed for his created order. God has the answer. We have the answer. So I'll say this. So I've got a group of these pastors, and I brought them together with the Seattle Police Department. We almost got Bellevue in, but your chief left and took a bigger job, I guess, in Cincinnati or somewhere, so he didn't make it. But we brought them together because I'm saying to them, what is the church's role and helping to build better relationships between police force and communities. And what role can the churches play in that? I would imagine that in all of your churches, there are people with influence and capacity and access who, if they had the right information, the right support, could bring about some changes. But they've never been invited into that. They've never been challenged to do that. And so this is why I'm actually meeting with some of the leaders of some of the larger congregations in the region, because they have those people in their congregations. And we're asking if we can bring them together and work with police. I had a meeting with King County prosecutor a week ago Monday, asking him, so what do we need to do? What laws need to be adjusted? What need to be changed so we can get rid of some of this madness that's going on around us, right? Same with SPD, same with education. My last meeting before the pandemic was with the former superintendent of Seattle schools. She was the one who said only 34% of black students read at grade level in Seattle. That's a travesty. So what do we do together to change that?
All right, thank you. Well, the formal part there, a little thank you for our hosts.